At precisely 2:47 a.m. Greenwich Mean Time, every major radio telescope on Earth simultaneously detected something that made veteran astronomers reach for emergency protocols they hoped would never be activated. The signal wasn't random cosmic noise or a natural phenomenon. It was a structured transmission containing information that no human being was prepared to receive. 3i Atlas had just sent humanity a message, and what it contained has left scientists, world leaders, and military strategists scrambling to understand the implications of first contact with an intelligence that clearly doesn't view us as equals. My name is Michio Kaku, and in 40 years of studying astrophysics and theoretical communication with extraterrestrial intelligence, I never imagined I would be the one tasked with decoding a message that fundamentally challenges everything we thought we knew about humanity's place in the cosmos. The transmission lasted exactly 11 minutes and 34 seconds, but the data contained within those minutes represents information that will take decades to fully comprehend. Because 3i Atlas didn't just say hello, it sent us an assessment of human civilization that reads like a report card from cosmic intelligence that has been watching us far longer than we ever suspected. The discovery that changed everything. Have you ever wondered what it would feel like to discover that your entire civilization has been under observation by intelligence you never knew existed? That every human achievement, every war, every moment of brilliance and cruelty has been documented and analyzed by minds operating from perspectives we cannot imagine. The morning after the transmission was detected, I received a call from the director of the International Astronomical Union. His voice carried a tremor I had never heard before. He said, "Michio Kaku, we need you at the facility immediately." What we've received isn't just a signal. It's a dossier on humanity, and they know things about us that we've never made public. The transmission was detected first by the Very Large Array in New Mexico, then confirmed simultaneously by facilities in Australia, Chile, and South Africa. The coordination wasn't coincidental. 3i Atlas had calculated precisely which facilities would be monitoring which sections of sky at that exact moment, ensuring maximum coverage and redundancy. This wasn't a broadcast hoping someone might be listening. This was a targeted communication to specific human institutions capable of understanding and decoding the information. When I arrived at the analysis center, I found a room full of the world's leading experts in cryptography, linguistics, mathematics, and physics, all staring at screens displaying data that defied easy categorization. The message wasn't transmitted in any human language, yet it contained linguistic structures that our computers could parse. It used mathematical principles we understand, but arranged in sequences that revealed applications we had never considered. And embedded within the data were visual components that showed Earth, human civilization, and specific events from our history, with a clarity that suggested 3i Atlas has capabilities for observation that make our most advanced surveillance systems look primitive. Dr. Elena Martinez, a leading expert in xenolinguistics, was the first to successfully decode a complete section of the message. When she finished reading her translation aloud, the room fell into stunned silence. The message began with a statement that instantly reframed everything we thought we knew about 3i Atlas's arrival. "We have observed your species for 412 Earth years. Your technological emergence required classification and evaluation according to protocols established across galactic civilization. This communication serves as official notification of your cosmic status designation, the structure of the message." The transmission was organized into 7 distinct sections, each addressing different aspects of human civilization and our future role in what 3i Atlas describes as the regulated galactic community. The first section contained a historical overview that demonstrated observational capabilities spanning back to the early 17th century. They referenced specific scientific discoveries, military conflicts, and social developments with a precision that could only come from continuous monitoring. But here's what made the historical section truly unsettling. 3i Atlas didn't just describe events, it analyzed the decision-making processes behind them, the psychological motivations of key historical figures, and the long-term consequences in ways that our own historians and social scientists have debated for decades. They understood cause and effect in human civilization better than we understand it ourselves. When Dr. Martinez translated the section on World War II, it included analysis of strategic decisions that remained classified in multiple government archives. They knew about secret meetings, private conversations, and deliberations that were never documented in any public record. My hands were shaking as I read through the decoded sections because every paragraph revealed that humanity has never been alone, never been unwatched, never been as independent as we believed. The second section of the message addressed what 3i Atlas called humanity's technological trajectory. This wasn't praise or encouragement. It was a clinical assessment of our capabilities compared to established galactic standards. According to their evaluation, human technology has developed with exceptional speed but catastrophic imbalance. They praised our achievements in medicine, communication, and theoretical science, but they expressed what can only be described as cosmic concern about our weapons development, our artificial intelligence research, and our early attempts at genetic modification. The message specifically identified 3 human technological developments that triggered what they call intervention protocols. The first was our development of nuclear weapons in 1945. The second was our first attempts at CRISPR gene editing in 2012. The third was the activation of advanced artificial intelligence systems capable of recursive self-improvement in 2023. Each of these milestones apparently triggered escalated monitoring and evaluation by whatever cosmic authority 3i Atlas represents. The message made clear that our technological development without corresponding advances in wisdom and ethical frameworks represents a pattern they have observed in multiple civilizations. And that pattern rarely ends well without external intervention. The third section addressed human social organization, and this is where the message became deeply uncomfortable for everyone analyzing it. The assessment we didn't want to hear. 3i Atlas evaluated human civilization across multiple dimensions, including resource distribution, social cooperation, environmental stewardship, and what they termed consciousness integration. In every category, humanity received what translated to failing or barely adequate grades. They documented patterns of inequality that persist across all human societies, despite having resources and technology sufficient to eliminate poverty and hunger. They noted our continued reliance on competitive rather than cooperative social structures, despite clear evidence that collaboration produces superior outcomes. But the environmental assessment was perhaps most damning. 3i Atlas described Earth as a garden that its caretakers are systematically destroying while possessing complete knowledge of how to preserve it. They documented species extinction rates, ocean acidification, deforestation, and atmospheric changes with data more comprehensive than our own environmental monitoring systems have collected. And they identified this pattern of knowing what needs to be done while failing to do it as a critical indicator of civilization immaturity. Dr. James Wilson, an evolutionary biologist who was brought in to analyze the sections dealing with human behavior, looked physically ill after finishing his analysis. He told me privately that the message described humanity with the same detachment that we use when describing bacteria cultures in laboratory settings. We weren't being insulted or condemned. We were being clinically evaluated as specimens whose behavior follows predictable patterns that cosmic intelligence has apparently observed countless times before. The fourth section of the message introduced concepts that our linguistic experts struggled to translate accurately because they dealt with ideas that don't exist in human thought frameworks. 3i Atlas describes something they call consciousness fragmentation, the condition where billions of individual awareness nodes operate in isolation, competition, and conflict rather than recognizing their fundamental unity. From their perspective, human consciousness represents a primitive stage of awareness development where individual identity is mistaken for ultimate reality. They contrasted this with what they describe as integrated consciousness, where individual perspectives exist but operate in harmony with collective awareness. Advanced civilizations apparently learned to balance individual creativity with collective wisdom, maintaining personal identity while recognizing unity with all conscious beings. Humanity, according to 3i Atlas, remains trapped in the fragmentation stage, creating endless conflict through the illusion of ultimate separation. This assessment wasn't meant to be insulting. It was meant to be diagnostic, explaining why human civilization behaves the way it does and why we're not yet ready for full participation in galactic community. The fifth section contained information about 3i Atlas itself and the system of cosmic governance it represents. This is where the message transitioned from assessment to revelation. 3i Atlas described itself not as an independent entity, but as an implementation mechanism for what they call the Galactic Coordination Council. This council apparently consists of hundreds of civilizations that have achieved certain benchmarks of technological and consciousness development. Their purpose is to monitor developing civilizations throughout the galaxy and intervene when necessary to prevent catastrophic outcomes, the verdict, and the protocols. According to the message, the galaxy contains thousands of developing civilizations at various stages of advancement. Some are encouraged and supported in their growth, others are quarantined and contained. A few are deemed too dangerous and are actively prevented from achieving interstellar capability. The criteria for these designations involve complex evaluations of technological capability, wisdom development, environmental stewardship, and consciousness integration. And humanity, based on 412 years of observation, has been placed in a category that translates roughly to probationary status with interventional oversight. My granddaughter asked me last night why I looked so worried, why I was spending so much time reading papers covered in strange symbols and complex equations. How do you explain to an 8-year-old that aliens have been grading humanity for centuries and we didn't get a passing score? How do you tell a child that the universe isn't the infinite frontier of possibility we always imagined, but a regulated system where species that don't meet certain standards are managed like wildlife in a cosmic preserve? The sixth section of the message detailed the specific protocols that 3i Atlas will implement to manage humanity's development according to our designated status. This section felt less like communication and more like notification of policies being imposed on us without negotiation or consent. The protocols include comprehensive monitoring of all human technological development, particularly in areas that could enable interstellar travel, advanced artificial intelligence, or weapons capable of affecting regions beyond Earth. 3i Atlas will maintain permanent observation posts within our solar system to ensure compliance with designated development restrictions. Any attempt to exceed authorized technological thresholds will result in immediate intervention. The message was explicit about this. Human expansion beyond our solar system is prohibited until we demonstrate the wisdom necessary to interact safely with other civilizations. Our communications into deep space will be monitored and filtered to prevent us from accidentally or intentionally contacting species that we're not ready to interact with. But the protocols also included something unexpected, a development assistance framework. 3i Atlas offered selective technological and guidance support to help humanity address critical challenges like climate change, resource scarcity, and disease. However, this assistance comes with conditions. We must demonstrate measurable progress in social cooperation, environmental restoration, and what they call consciousness integration metrics. Essentially, they're willing to help us, but only if we prove we're trying to improve according to their standards. Dr. Sarah Chen, a physicist specializing in advanced propulsion systems, broke down crying when she finished analyzing the section on technological restrictions. She had devoted her entire career to developing systems that might enable human interstellar travel. The message made clear that her work and the work of thousands of scientists like her will be prevented from achieving its goals, not through lack of human capability, but through external enforcement of boundaries we never knew existed. The seventh and final section of the message addressed individual humans rather than humanity as a collective. This section was translated with difficulty because it dealt with concepts our languages struggle to express clearly. 3i Atlas explained that while human civilization as a whole has been placed on probationary status, individual human consciousnesses are not bound by collective limitations. The message described a process of individual evolution where specific humans can transcend species-level restrictions through consciousness development that achieves what they call cosmic compatibility, the path for individuals. This part of the message felt almost like an invitation or an offer. Advanced civilizations have apparently developed technologies and techniques for facilitating consciousness evolution in individuals who demonstrate readiness for such transformation. These individuals can eventually participate in aspects of galactic civilization that remain closed to their species as a whole. The message suggested that throughout human history, certain individuals have undergone this process, though humanity as a whole has interpreted these transformations through religious or mystical frameworks rather than understanding them as conscious evolution facilitated by cosmic intelligence. 3i Atlas described consciousness as a universal phenomenon that exists independently of biological form. What we call death is actually a transition point where consciousness either dissipates back into universal awareness or, for sufficiently developed individuals, continues in forms not bound by biological limitations. Advanced civilizations have learned to guide consciousness evolution, helping individuals transition from fragmented to integrated awareness, from planetary to cosmic perspective, from biological to non-biological existence. The implications were staggering. 3i Atlas was essentially telling us that while humanity as a civilization faces restrictions and oversight, individual humans who achieve sufficient consciousness development might escape those limitations entirely. But the criteria for such evolution weren't based on intelligence, achievement, or any conventional measure of success. They were based on wisdom, compassion, unity consciousness, and the ability to transcend ego identification with biological individuality. I spent 3 days and nights analyzing this section of the message because it represented something unprecedented. An advanced intelligence essentially telling humanity that our cosmic prison has escape routes, but only for consciousness that has evolved beyond the patterns that got our species classified as probationary in the first place. It was simultaneously hopeful and devastating, suggesting that individual salvation is possible even as collective advancement faces severe restrictions.